We're back here at the Eye, and now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about retail. We talked a little bit before about the changing demographics of Generation Z and millennials, how that's affecting retail. Now we're going to talk about retail. With me is Diana Sheehan from Kantar. Give me the overview. I mean, we're all talking about home delivery, even though that's only at about 4%, everybody thinks that's going to go wild. We're talking about direct-to-consumer, blockchain, we're talking about new convenience stores. Give us the lay of the land, what's going on out there so that we can get a handle.
You know, it's fascinating. In the current environment, what we have is really an evolution of retail. And it's interesting because as we sit and we hear about kind of retail apocalypses and the store being dead, there's nothing further from the truth. Right now, the brick and mortar store is actually even more important than it ever has been. And part of that is because you have this kind of this reliance on e-commerce to solve convenience needs. But shoppers are still dying for interaction and for experiences that they can only get in store. And so as we look and we think about grocery in particular and where it's going, as you think of Walmart and Kroger with over 1,000 pickup sites in each chain, what we know is that as that grows, you're going to see shoppers using it as a means to build a relationship with those retailers as they then move into finding other things to grow with the retailers, like health and wellness.
So you think that click and collect is clearly, growing and important?
Absolutely, and I think with click and collect, one of the things that we've seen in Europe, and my colleagues and I talk about this a lot, who are based in the UK and in various parts of Europe, is what we saw is that click and collect and home delivery really kind of capped out with about 10% of the population kind of investing in it on an ongoing basis. We're at the start of that growth, but we will be kind of maxing out at one point, and there's still going to be 90% of grocery sales going through stores. With that,
but are the stores going to change that we do go to? And how are they going to change?
Absolutely. So what we're really anticipating seeing is the stores are going to become much more interactive. You're going to actually see the box itself be reinvented. And what it'll be is it's a smarter store as opposed to just a big store. What we anticipate seeing is that some of the stores are going to be carved out to really optimize the efficiency of click and collect and home delivery. And then in its place, what you're going to see is you're going to see center store continuing to shrink a little bit, but not completely, because that's critical to shoppers' current everyday grocery purchases. But what you will see is you'll see the...
But wouldn't they buy those through click and collect? If it's a brand name grocery item, Campbell's tomato soup, that I can't live without, why do I need to pull that off the shelf? Why can't I order that through click and collect, and that takes that away from me, or even have that automatically replenished by a smart cupboard or smart refrigerator?
Well, the truth is, I think that if you look at the average consumer today, there's really not a ton of things that they buy all the time the exact same brain. Promotions, inspiration, impulse drive what they're purchasing. So yes, let's say you have young kids and Honey Nut Cheerios is always in the house. That may go to click and collect, but that splurge on a Cocoa Puffs, and I have 3 kids under 3, so this is very familiar.
So Cocoa Puffs is important to your family.
And it's one of those where that splurge on something you don't normally get is driven more by what you see in store on promotion.
So how are retailers coping with this? When you're talking to retailers who have 100 stores, 500 stores, thousands of stores, and you're saying, okay, you've got to change and evolve. You just can't have a store with 50,000 SKUs anymore. You've got to do this, this, and this. Are the retailers embracing that? Are they fighting it?
Absolutely, and I think it's funny because in an Amazon world, I think all of the other retailers out there really are not getting the credit that they deserve. In fact, I would argue at this point that as you look at both the big players like Kroger and Walmart, but also those super regionals like Publix and H-E-B and Hy-Vee in the Midwest, they are actually evolving and have been evolving over the last few years and have started to build out extraordinary in-store experiences. And that has actually allowed them to really push back against the Amazon influence in that grocery space. What's fascinating, and it's definitely debatable, but in my opinion, as you look at Amazon and why they bought Whole Foods, it's because they were not succeeding in grocery. It's because the grocers, as they adapted, were finding ways to keep Amazon from growing their share in Amazon Fresh. And so Amazon had to buy Whole Foods to actually make a mark in the grocery space.
And how big do you think that Amazon will get in food? Between Whole Foods, between Amazon Fresh, between Amazon.com, automatic replenishment. A lot of people are saying Amazon will be the #1 food retailer. Do you think that's true?
I absolutely do not agree with that. I think one of the things that we tend to forget is 30 years ago there was an upstart named Walmart that everyone was convinced was going to take over the world. And yes, to a certain extent it did.
And Walmart is the #1 food retailer.
It is the #1 food retailer. But Kroger managed to continue to grow in that time. The super regionals. H-E-B has kept Walmart in check in Texas for decades. And so I think what we see as we see Amazon, both Whole Foods, which is a niche retailer that was declining, and Amazon, who was struggling in mainstream grocery. Yes, they will grow. I think they will absolutely become a relevant player, maybe in the top 5. But if I look 10 years down the road, do I think Walmart and Kroger are going to back down and let them take over? Absolutely not.
Well, thanks so much for joining us.
So much.
Great insights.
So nice to talk to you.
Looking forward to your breakout this afternoon. I'm Phil Lempert. We're here at the Eye at the Potato Expo 2018 in Orlando, and we're live. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.